We're delighted to be joined, as we are every week, by Doris Burke, our NBA analyst and Hall of Famer, and the winner of 7,000 major awards. Doris is joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. Doris, I'm glad you're with us this morning, and that read is actually pretty accurate because talk about protection. We see what happened again last night in Utah between Russell Westbrook and a fan. The NBA is a unique, and basketball in general, I guess, is a unique animal in the sense that the fans are so close to the players that they are in any of the other major sports. Are we concerned that is a boundary that seems to be pushed with a lot lately?
Well, I think in no way, shape, or form should Russell Westbrook be threatening a fan and his wife last night, obviously, no matter what is thrown in his direction. But that said, I also, particularly when I'm in the sideline reporting role and my headset is not on and I'm sort of hearing everything that's coming at those players, I don't think that a lot of what is said is included in the price of a ticket. There's a lack of civility. It crosses the line. And Trey, I'm going to go back to something that David Stern once said to me in an interview, and I'm going back probably almost 20 years. I'm brand new on the sideline reporting role to the NBA. And even back then, there was this sort of acknowledgement that, yes, sometimes the proximity of fan to player can cause me sleepless nights. I don't know what can be done about it. Those seats are at a premium. They bring in a ton of revenue. But there must be something that is done to address, I think, certainly fans' behavior. Maybe there's a set of guidelines, because I have heard some of the things that are completely inappropriate and beyond the pale coming from fans. And I just think, and it goes to a lack of civility, these players should not be subjected to endure some of the things that are said to them, certainly.
Completely agree, but you know what happens with Russell now, right? We've seen this. People know that he's got a short fuse, and Junior brought up a great point. These are basically like Twitter trolls with a face. They're going to try and push him to see if they can get him over that line, and how much of that does he have to say, I can't react to this stuff?
There's no question about it that Russell has got to be able to dial back his emotion. It's funny. I've always thought that football was this different animal because of the physical violence and sort of the intensity and adrenaline that's going at in the midst of that competitive environment. But there are certain guys hardwired in the NBA to engage. Draymond Green also comes to mind. Russell Westbrook comes to mind. DeMarcus Cousins comes to mind. These guys have such incredible competitive spirits that sometimes it's their greatest strength and their greatest weakness. And I'll say it again, as much as I just don't think Russell can physically threaten violence to a fan. It's inappropriate. And how that team navigates that, I don't know, but maybe you're pushing him a little bit further toward the coaching staff. But still, I don't know what the answer is, Trey. I know that if I'm Adam Silver, this is causing me some level of concern, and I'll go back to something with the NBA and its brass and its leadership. They tend to address these things pretty quickly, and I think it's getting to a place where they have to address it.
Talking to Doris Burke, our ESPN NBA analyst. I guess to that end, Doris, we've talked so much about the response potentially from the league to the fan and all this, but you mentioned the disagreement with the way that Russ went about this. Do you think there would be anything in the way of a fine or some sort of punishment from the league side of things for Russell Westbrook for engaging with a fan in this way?
No question about it, Mike. He is going to get a fine. He's going to get a hefty fine. My sense is there might be a phone conversation. And I would think that Russell would welcome that phone conversation to sort of address what these players are feeling. He's not the first player, Mike, to express frustration about what he will and will not endure. He's just been the most vocal, and he's been the one most willing to engage with these fans.
He has, and he specifically had these issues in Utah going back to the playoff series last year where there were a couple of incidents. So we'll see what happens going forward with Russ and the NBA there. Tell me about Draymond fatigue or just Golden State fatigue. How real is that right now with this team sort of just trying to get to where they want to go and having to play through, for lack of a better term, the slog of the end of the NBA regular season for them?
And that's exactly what it is when you've been to the number of finals in a row. Consider that you're starting your year, in September and you are playing through June. And the grind of an 82 regular season is hard. There's a reason, and he also said this in the course of that interview. Every single year when you have been to the championship, is the number of times that they have, everyone gets harder. And I'll tell you this as somebody who has been sort of walking that path with them down the stretch. You can feel the weight of it. It's almost tangible, the process of getting there. And I have them tomorrow night. I'm going to tell you the person who probably understands his frustration maybe as much as Steve, and that's Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green initially might have been hot when he saw that. But the beauty of Draymond is he's probably thinking in his head, yeah, you know what? I kind of can be a bleep. I can be a pain in the bleep. And so, you know, and he has also talked about this when Draymond Green lists the people in his life that have been profoundly influential. And the guys he believes he will be close to the rest of his life. He talks about Tom Izzo and Steve Kerr amongst his family and the people in his, you know, tight wing. So I don't think this presents any long-term problem. And God, they're probably all sick of each other, for God's sake. They spend more time with each other than they do with their wives and families. This is nothing to me.